Good morning. Good morning. We will get started in just a minute. I'm just setting up. Good morning. I think we're waiting on maybe one or two more people. Of course, I know it's the long weekend as well, so people may be filling themselves up with outdoor activity or away for the weekend. So thank you for being here, for watching this later. Good morning. Okay. So good morning and welcome to day 22 of 31 days of meditation. If you've been following along, you know that we're kind of working our way through in these Sunday morning practices, doing more natural awareness meditations, open awareness meditations. And in our Tuesday mornings, we're focused on different things, as I'll talk about in a moment. If you're not familiar, that's okay too. You won't have lost your place in any way, shape, or form. We've just been kind of exploring our meditation as a way of helping us be in touch or become aware of the conditions of our mind, the condition of our mind, which is to think and to process information, so that we can be in relationship to it in a different way, right? So that we can be in our own bodies and our own relationship to self in a slightly different way. So we're exploring mindset as well as meditation as these two really important components, and meditation allowing us to really start to understand what some of those thoughts are, the feelings and the belief structures that may be both allowing us to thrive in our life, as well as those things that might be holding us back or limiting us, those limiting core beliefs that we all carry. And so the more that we can bring these things into conscious awareness, the more likely we are to change the circumstances of our life. We can start to shift those beliefs over time. A belief, of course, being an idea that gets reinforced over time through lived experience, both from internal and external sources. Really important thing for all of us to start to really understand, because it is the filter in the lens through which we view the world around us, we view relationships and other people, and of course ourselves included in that. And so if we really want to be in a place of optimal wellness, health and wellness, then we need to really start to understand what some of those core beliefs might be that are holding us back from living that life that we really want for ourselves. So in the course of these 31 days, we've been kind of exploring three main types of meditation practices. So although there is many types of meditation, I think they can all be kind of categorized into three main categories. One is mindfulness meditation, which is really this idea of self-inquiry, of being present with and not judging, but being with something and cultivating this relationship. The second is concentration meditation, which really focuses our attention, right? And learning that, which we'll talk about more in a minute. And then the third is natural awareness or open awareness meditation. And so my belief is that, as we practice mindfulness, we create awareness, in particular awareness of the conditions of the mind, again, all of those thoughts that run around, and we become aware of them, so that then when we go into concentration meditation, which is about noticing the distractions and all the things that pull our attention away from whatever we're focusing on, right? Which really is what we've already created awareness for in mindfulness. This allows us to be able to be in this place, this single focus, that then allows us in more open awareness or natural presence meditation, which is really if you will, the place where we want to get to, of having these moments even of just being in loving awareness, where we're not feeling loving awareness, but we are loving awareness. And in order to do that, we need to come into this place of stillness. We do that through focus meditation, but in order to be able to focus, we need to have the mindfulness of recognizing, right, those distractions, if you will, and all of the things that may be coming up and distracting us from that focus. So I hope that makes sense in terms of the different types. Now, or the three categories, maybe I'll call it. Now, of course, there's many different types of meditation that could be under those three. Less probably on the open awareness side, but certainly mindfulness meditation. There's many ways we can cultivate mindfulness in terms of our everyday life. And of course, we talk about these all the time, right? Mindful movement, body awareness, much of the somatic practices that we've been doing on Thursdays of getting into our body with some degree of self-awareness, but even just in daily living, mindful eating, mindful walking, all of these things where we bring our focus into the experience that we're having while doing something or being in a state of something. The second, concentration. Okay, so we live in a culture where we've all reduced our attention span to micro moments, right? And it's really having a significant impact on how we show up in the world. We're seeing this with children, but we're seeing it with adults as well. In fact, it's interesting in my practice, I'll say that when, which is not an uncommon thing for someone to come in and to talk about how, whether it's themselves or somebody else in the family is stuck on their phone, it's just as frequently one of the adults in the relationship than it is one of the children. And so, of course, we focus a lot on children, and rightly so, because their brain is still being developed, but it's as equally so with adults. And what happens is, as we improve our attention span, this is critical for focus, concentration, working well under pressure, getting things done, being productive. And so by focusing and paying attention to something while we meditate, our attention stays in place and we retrain that brain. So the more we meditate, the more our attention span improves. And let's just say there's so many distractions and things that pull our attention away. So in order to combat this, we really need to practice ways of remaining focused, even if it's for micro moments of focusing and expanding outward. So just like in meditation, our mind and thoughts will be distractions in our mind to pull our attention away, right? So when we're sitting in meditation, there's many moments when we get pulled into the story that our thoughts take us in. And so the more that we can recognize it, name it, and pull us back, right? Return our attention, we retrain the mind to have a longer attention span and the ability to focus more intently on anything. So on Tuesday mornings, we've been exploring different ways that we can focus our mind. So creating an anchor, which is what we talked about on last Sunday, is the different types of anchors that we can work with. An anchor is something that stabilizes the mind so that we can be in that place of stillness and focus. And really allowing ourselves in those moments to calm and to be in stillness. And to feel, right, what that's like. Because for many people, they have not had this experience very often. So it can be actually really uncomfortable for them to be in this place of calm and stillness, of spending time with themselves, if you will. Because at first it feels really foreign to us because we're so focused on the external world so often. So one of the beautiful ways of doing this, of course, it can be with breath, which we practice often. Last week we did sound. We've also done mantra work. We'll be doing chanting in an upcoming week. And one of the more common concentration meditations is candle gazing. And candle gazing is what we'll be doing this Tuesday morning. And candle meditation is this simple meditation technique in which we focus our sight and our attention on the flame of a candle for a certain length of time. And the flame of the candle has some mystery to it, right? It attracts our attention because of the movement, the colors, right? So there's enough movement, let's say, or mystery, that it attracts our attention long enough that it allows us to come into this place of fixed point gaze and can hold our attention, and which helps us to expand our attention. Of course, we'll wander, right? We go off and then we come back, go off, come back. But again, all of these recoveries are retraining the mind. So it's not that we have an expectation ever to be fully focused for a specific length of time, but we recognize that every time we recover, we're retraining the mind to have a longer attention span. So on Tuesday morning, we're going to be doing a candle meditation. On Thursday this week, we'll be doing the body scan with self-inquiry, some more self-inquiry. And then next Sunday, we're going to talk a little bit, but we're going to be doing a much longer practice than we normally do. We usually do about 15 minutes of practice. We'll be doing a 30-minute practice with a bit of a break in between, to just as we kind of finish up our 31 days to kind of be with that in a group practice. And it'll be more open awareness with some other practices at the beginning to help us to get into that place. Our final meditation for our 31 days is going to be on Tuesday, May 31st, and it's going to be a lovely chanting practice, one of my favorite things to do. And so before we get into practice today, I just also wanted to invite all of you to our June program. It starts June 1st. The last day to sign up is on May 31st. I've just been working on finalizing all the content now. In June, we're going to be exploring breath and breath practices in particular that really is around the practices around breath to build resiliency. So we'll be talking a lot about resiliency, what this means and how we can exercise this muscle of resiliency. So what does resiliency mean? It means moving through challenging periods of our life while maintaining our health and well-being. So finding ways, resources that we have available to us to be able to create a state or a sense of well-being while we're going through hard times. And breath practices in particular have been shown, there's a ton of research to back this up, that it can be a really effective way of doing that. So we'll be going through 5 different breath practices, one each week, really sitting with the experience of it each week to feel into how our body responds to each of the 5. There'll be 4 that are more calming and balancing, and 1 that's more energizing and cleansing, which can be as important to dysregulated nervous systems. When we're feeling more on that depressed side of things, we need to energize ourselves back up. Anybody with anxiety, we need to calm and balance. And so it's really about creating a balanced nervous system where most of us have pretty dysregulated nervous systems. We'll also be reviewing this beautiful book called Breath by James Nestor. And it's a wonderful book filled with so much great information. You do not need to buy the book. You do not need to read the book, but I will be reviewing it and some of the main content throughout the book as part of the practice in the month. But if you do have the book or you want to read the book, it's fantastic. It was a bestseller, I want to say in 2020. Yeah, it was shortlisted for the Science Book Prize in 2021. The price for the month-long program is $20 to make sure that it's accessible to everyone. And of course, you can register at Mindful Healing Space. And I do hope that you join us for this. As I mentioned, I think last month, although I offered this 31 days free, what we're going to be doing is charging a nominal fee, probably $15 to $20 each month to join us in these practices. Each month, they'll be kind of similar in terms of a practice and some learning component to it, as well as then, of course, the community support around it. In July, we'll be doing listening and compassion, in particular, as we start to work in the summer in terms of relationship dynamics. So I hope you'll join me. So let's begin today's practice as we cultivate our open awareness, this natural presence of learning how to simply just be with ourselves, simply be with our breath, and really cultivating this practice of non-judgment and being in the present moment of whatever is happening within us. So I invite you now to find your seat if you're not already in that position. Seated on a chair, couch, on the cushion, on the floor, whatever works for you today, whether you're cross-legged or with feet behind on a bench or a block, whatever works for you. Make any adjustments to your body now so that you know you can sit for about 15 minutes. We'll be here for about 15 minutes. And whenever you're ready, making all of those adjustments, making a decision in your mind right now whether you're going to move or sit with the discomfort of any further adjustments that you may feel that you need. Of course, recognizing if you're feeling pain, we want to move, right? We don't want to be in pain, but a certain amount of discomfort or uncomfortableness is okay. How do we learn how to be in that discomfort for even a moment of time? Perhaps sitting with an intention for your practice today as you close your eyes or lower your gaze. How do you want to show up? What feeling in your body, in your experience, do you want to cultivate? Perhaps it is simply a loving awareness of recognizing, as Ram Dass says, I am loving awareness. The blurring of the lines between you and all other living things, you and the world, that this duality simply exists in our mind, and that we are all one. We are all loving awareness. Bringing your mind's focus, your attention to your breath, wherever you might feel that the most today. Your nose, your throat, your chest, your belly. If it feels right for you, perhaps bringing your hand to that place to just allow the mind a little bit more of an anchor to stabilize that mind. Noticing the subtle shifts of your body as you breathe. Releasing any expectations, any of the stories about time, letting it all go, letting it fade into the background. Or as we talked about before, the snow globe, allow each thought to simply be a piece of snow falling gently to the ground. Watching it fall, but paying it no mind. As the mind wanders, bringing it back to the subtle movement of your body as you breathe, to wherever your anchor point is. Anchoring the mind, releasing the thoughts, and being in that space between I am loving awareness. In the space between, there's ease and grace. It is a letting go process, not a holding on. Recognizing the thoughts, releasing them, returning the focus to the breath, to your anchor. Being in the ease between these spaces. being with whatever's happening in your experience right now, noticing it, not judging it, but simply allowing it, being with it. And as you can, returning your focus and attention to your breath. In our final few moments here, being focused on our breath, allowing ourselves to be in this space between where loving awareness and ease and grace live. Bringing your attention to your chest. And notice the subtle movement of your ribs as you inhale and exhale. Become more and more conscious of your inhale and your exhale. Allowing it to deepen, lengthen. Feeling into your body and the supports beneath you. Feel all the points of your body and where it makes contact with the support. Noticing how it feels to have the support beneath you, cradle you, support the weight, allow you to be at ease. Start to notice your body in the space where you're sitting. With eyes still closed, imagine what the space is like around you, the walls, the other furniture or items that might be there. Create the picture in your mind's eye. Remember with as much detail as possible. Start to recognize the sounds that might be around you. I can hear the candle flickering behind me, the hum of the house. Take in the further sounds that are away from you. Notice the smell. And lastly, whenever you're ready, opening your eyes and allowing your eyes to adjust to the light of the room as you lastly take in the sights of the room around you. Perhaps sitting here for a moment between this state of inner awareness and outer awareness, learning how to balance these two with an emphasis on the inner awareness of who we are and how we're feeling in this outer world, instead of being so focused on the outer world that we miss the inner, as many of us walk through life. Cultivating this balance between the two so that we become more and more aware of our own experience and taking responsibility for our experience in this life. I hope you have an amazing last bit of your long weekend. I hope to see you this week if you're participating in the 31 days on Tuesday and Thursday. Otherwise next Sunday. And I do hope that I will see you for our June